we got something we haven't done yet that we needs to get done. Official business on the cards. And now we're doing it. The Premier League predictions 25-26 season. Transfer window is over. You know, I put a little accent on there. I don't know why, but it's over. And it's time we get these predictions done. We know
For the
what
big
these
leagues.
Yeah.
Because we got Onana out of here, man. Let's go.
Fair play. Yeah, that you got saved with that one. I'll give you that. But yeah, now we finally see what these squads are looking like, rather other than maybe some outgoing to some smaller leagues. But we're seeing now it's up to the tactics, it's up to the coaches, up to the players. Now you just got to perform. You got to gel. No more people to come in to save you. Let's see what it's looking like. So here's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna do the entire table. Now, last year when we did this, we did a mid-season. We did like our top 6. We're doing the entire table, and we're all gonna have to agree. This is gonna be the collective rip the net Premier League prediction table. So no more each individual predictions. We're gonna have to debate majority rules. It is what it is. And we're doing champions, then second to fourth Champions League places, Europa League places, Conference League, then the mid-table 8th to 12th, then the maybe relegation threatened 13th to 17th, bottom of the table, and then looking at relegation sides, who's going down next season. But let's start it off. This is in alphabetical order, so who's gonna hit them? Bournemouth. How are we feeling? And we can move it around, but nothing's set in stone. Once we put some stuff in, we'll see how it's looking.
Bournemouth. I'm just feeling mid-table.
I see that. For me, they're either 8th to 12th. I can't see them 13th to 17th. Yeah. Or I think we put them 8th to 12th. But I can see a sneaky 7th. But they did lose a lot of players, so 8th to 12th I think is safe for now.
I think for now, I would agree.
Now, big one.
I'll interrupt you if I disagree, by the way.
Yeah. Let us know. Big one, the Arsenal. How are we feeling about this? This is the massive one. Or maybe let's do it like this.
Top 6 at the end?
Yeah, let's do a little suspense. Let's go bottom to top. So I know we already put Bournemouth in, but what are we feeling for relegation places? Any team that we feel like Wolves? Okay, put them in there. We could put a bunch in and we could discuss. Wolves, I think Burnley,
Sunderland,
throw them in there. Burnley, throw them in there. Sunderland second to last, and then Leeds, throw them in there. And honestly, West Ham, throw them in there. And then we'll bump a couple up. I think these are really your relegation candidates for the season. Yeah. Obviously, you have the 3 teams that came up: Burnley, Sunderland, Leeds. Usually, if we're going by track record, the same teams have been going back down in recent years. It hasn't been looking good for these promoted teams. But if we're looking at the transfer windows, Sunderland has impressed me. They bought a lot of players. They brought someone like Granit Xhaka in, who's a Premier League proven player, a captain, a leader. He came in, they immediately gave him the armband, which I think says a lot about their ambitions. So if anything, out of the promoted side, Sunderland looked the most exciting to me. Leeds, I ain't gonna lie, it's looking spooky. Burnley, they kept the most clean sheets in the championship last year, but they lost their keeper to City to go sit on the bench, which is crazy. So I don't know, but I think this year it's tough. It's tough to predict someone like bridging that gap because the gap has been so strong. But Wolves and West Ham just don't move me, bro. Like neither of them move me. I think it's damn near impossible that both of them go down. But I think it's very possible this year one of them goes down.
Yeah. I mean, based off of the performances I've seen and the transfers you talked about, I do feel like either Burnley or Sunderland could get that bump up to 13th to 17th. But like you said, Wolves, especially Wolves, it's not looking good, bro.
Yeah. I'm willing to move up Sunderland. I think we should also have a little risk, like, not just put the same teams going back down. I'm willing to move up Sunderland and West Ham.
Okay.
And then see those and we can reorder too, just to put them in the exact positions. But I think How are you feeling about
I
Wolves?
think Burnley's going to be 18th.
Wolves, you that down on Wolves.
Yeah.
They are trash, so I'm not surprised. they are trash. Anything Leeds bottom? That wouldn't surprise me. That would not surprise me. I can't see Wolves being bottom.
Yeah.
It just would be crazy. Like
close to.
Yeah. I don't know. I like that for now. But I like Sunderland ahead of West Ham. I think I like their project. West Ham. Honestly, if we're talking squads, West Ham should be not even close to these teams, but they just don't look good on the pitch. They just don't look good at all. And they have good players, but I don't know. It's not moving me.
And just as a reference point, since we already got 6 teams here, you can look at the current standings, how things are looking.
Fulham
so
down
Wolves.
there.
Yeah, Fulham is down there. Villa. Burnley and Leeds are surprisingly. I mean, Leeds is ahead of Man City. So
yeah, funny.
And Sunderland 6th place, man. So early in the season.
Yeah,
we won't have a real table we can rely on for like another month or month and a half at least.
Yeah,
to get a real idea of where people are placed.
If we're talking 13th to 17th, we have 2 in there now, so we need to throw a couple more in there. We're talking candidates to be in this area. A team I forgot for 18th to 20th, Brentford.
Well, I was gonna say Brentford or Fulham.
Those need to get in there. Get in there. Yeah, throw them up. Yeah. For me, Fulham, they got some signings on deadline day. The whole window they didn't sign anyone. I think deadline day they signed this guy named Kevin, who's like just as like one of them one name Brazilian dudes. He's like some Brazilian. Bro, that
sounds like a joke from like Deadpool or something.
Literally, it does not sound real. They literally just signed. Apparently, he's some crazy talent. Some Brazilian dude named Kevin. I don't know where that came from, but they signed him on deadline.
That's what they said about Endrick, bro.
Hey man, he still could be. He still could be. He'd go out on loan or something. But yeah, I think they signed someone else. I forget who else they signed. But Fulham, at least to me, they're like the definition of like a mid-table side usually. I think a lot of teams around them did a lot more interesting business, which might cause them to drop. But I think if we put them 13 to 17, I think they're on the higher end of 13 to 17.
So maybe next to Sunderland.
Yeah. Probably ahead of Sunderland. But Sunderland are exciting right now. But that's just how I'm feeling. Let me know if you disagree.
Nah, I can trust your guidance on that. Eric, what are you thinking so far with this setup?
Honestly, I don't know, man. I don't think anything that y'all have said is beyond. I don't know. This looks right, but I will say I'm also not super tapped into the bottom table.
Yeah, fair.
The bottom half.
Fair enough.
Not a lot I can contribute on this side, but
I think
this looks right.
I think to be fair, it's so volatile that like even with knowledge, I'm not too super tapped in on these teams anyway. But even with some knowledge on the teams, it really doesn't end up meaning much. Like the end of the season,
you can be relegated still, man. We don't know.
No one predicted Man U to be in this 13 to 17 area last year, so really it could be anything.
True.
But I think the fact that I'm looking at the rest of these teams below and none of them scream to me 13 to 17 really shows the quality in the Prem right now, because we need one more for this category. I don't know who to put in there. It's tough. I think Bournemouth is definitely in the category above, so I don't want to drop them. Maybe
I feel like Crystal
Brighton.
Palace.
I like Brighton. I like Palace. The fact that Palace kept Guehi, wherever you pronounce it.
Yeah.
The fact they lost Eze, of course, but the fact that they kept him, they're so well coached. If they're 13th, I think if we put them in there, they're the top of that bracket for sure.
I think they're more in an 8th to 12th.
Yeah, I could see them being 12th, 11th, 12th, like in that area. But I like Brighton just as much, if not more. So throw them up to 8 to 12 as well. And then, okay, so let's put the teams in there, and then we can see who drops. So I think Everton in that area.
Everton.
Honestly,
maybe there. Maybe they're 13.
Honestly, Everton, they do have the most to prove out of those teams. I think Bournemouth, Brighton, Palace have proved to be mid-table sides in previous years. Everton have always been like kind of straggling at the bottom. Yeah. So I can see a little 13th or something, but they did some exciting business. Grealish, of course, through the door. David Moyes is a good manager. And I mean, maybe you won't think so for United, but for Everton at least, he is an important manager for them. So I think if I was doing it personally, I'm excited by Everton, but I think generally that's a safer place for them. But honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a team you got to throw in 8 to 12 that you could be having this conversation. It's United. I'm not gonna lie, you got to have this conversation. I know. We're talking about some big teams now. You know, you can always make the argument to go higher. But I think for now, you got to throw them in there just to start having these.
I'm gonna argue with you on this. I think 7th.
We'll throw them 8 to 12, and then we'll promote a team to 7th later.
Crazy.
I'm trying to be objective. Like, I know
I am too.
I am majority rules, but I think if we're talking about, I'm not saying they're going to stay there, because I think you still have to consider like a Forest. Could throw them in there as well. Villa, you could throw them in there as well, and then we can bump some of these teams up. But I think these are the teams we're talking about scrapping. Even Spurs, and even though I think personally Spurs are going to finish higher, I think these are the teams in that conversation. The 8 to 12 is like that whole mid-table. 7th is only one team going in there. So, I don't know. Do you feel like any team? I think this is the best way to do it. Do you think any of the teams? Obviously, we know the biggest teams down there probably aren't. Do you think any of the teams down there, like say throw Forest up, throw Villa up, throw Spurs up?
Like me personally, I think Forest would be 8th, United 7th. That's what I see.
Okay. And then Spurs and Villa finishing ahead of United.
And then I see, yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
Where do y'all have Newcastle?
Newcastle,
you could argue too.
I think the fact they lost Isak, especially, like, I think they're in that 5th to 6th.
Yeah. Okay. For me, Newcastle is like, out of all these teams, they're probably the best coached team, which I think is going to speak a lot to them. I think it really depends on how this Voltamata Vissa thing pans out. But Vissa's proven. Apparently, Vissa and Isak had the same amount of non-penalty goals last year. So, like, fair enough, bro, because he didn't take pens for Brentford. So, Premier League proven player. I think it's a little under the radar, that the fact that he's like potentially even their second choice striker behind this new 80 million kid. I think Newcastle 5th to 6th is more likely. I'm trying to look at the numbers that we have here now, because 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. We need one more in that 8 to 12 category.
I'm looking at the table right now too, for reference. Newcastle down at 17.
Yeah, I think Isak honestly screwed them over, bro. If they had a starting striker for the first beginning of the season, they performed well. They just no one there to finish the chances. Which could have ramifications at the end of the season. You could be like, damn, those first few games, if they just had a striker, maybe that would have been the difference maker. Because last year it came down to the last day, those spots. So that's a bit tough. But personally, so throw Villa and Spurs up into 7th, just so we could talk those teams. Because one has to drop to 8 to 12, and one has to move up to 5th to 6th. And I think these are the 3 teams like in that area.
I think Villa has to drop. Freedom fighter Sancho is not going to carry them to.
Okay, well, here's the debate. 4. Can we agree? I think Spurs moves up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So let's move Spurs up for now.
I agree.
And the debate is Villa and United.
Villa.
Now, here's the thing. We said majority rules, so I'm gonna say right now, I know I'm gonna lose this argument, but just to make the case for Villa, I think if we're talking about settled squads, they didn't do too much crazy business. They got some guys in on loan, but I think a lot of their core squad still there. They maintained Watkins and maintained Morgan Rogers, who's one of the most exciting attacking midfielders / left wingers in the league last year. They maintained a lot of the squad. They kept Emi Martinez, I believe, still, but a lot of people thought he was heading out, which I think that's massive for them too. They still are solid. They're stable. They have one of the better coaches in the league. I think the only thing, United have a lot of new players that need to gel. That makes me a little hesitant. Now, the thing I will give in United's favor, and this is no glaze because I know you're about to glaze, but in United's favor, they only have one game a week. Now, that's the whole thing. One game a week, whatever. Especially since you're out of the Carabao Cup to Grimsby Town. So,
we don't have to talk about that.
Not many other competitions to worry about. So I can see the argument there. But here's my thing with United, which makes it such a tough thing to predict. Right now we're doing it. Ruben Amorim's still in the job. And however you feel about him probably determines how you place it. But we also have to take into the possibility that we could be seeing a new manager come in at some point this season. This is not impossible. It's not impossible.
Nope. We're not going to discuss this. It's a possibility.
It's not impossible. I honestly, if I'm being honest with you,
dude, if we sack Amorim,
if you look at
I won't be supporting that club anymore, bro. I can't do
your upcoming run of games. It's not impossible. I honestly think if they lost the Burnley game, it was wraps, bro. It was wraps. I think if you look at your upcoming fixtures, it's not impossible that Ruben Amorim's gone in November, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I disagree.
But here's the funny part. My prediction, if you keep Amorim, is lower than if you sack him. I think if you get a new manager in, I would predict you guys higher. I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So if you want to do this based on keeping Amorim, I think they drop 8 to 12. I'm keeping it a stack.
No,
but
dude,
like we said, majority rules. So
I have faith in the team, and I have faith in the January transfer window. We get some midfielders.
That is something to take into account.
I think that could prove to be a game changer for the season alone. Yeah, and just off the pure glaze, they gotta be seventh in my book.
I saw that coming. How do you feel, Eric? You're the tiebreaker, but you tend to be pessimistic at times.
Honestly, I don't think I have faith in Man U, man. I don't know, bro. Like, there's nothing. At least on my end, there's nothing that I've seen that has convinced me to think that this season will be really any better than last.
The performance against Arsenal?
You lost. You lost.
Come on.
Am I wild for thinking that?
I think you're spot on. The fact that you didn't get a midfielder, I think, is the biggest indictment on the club right now. Honestly,
I would say, man, set your expectations low, and if they overperform, you're satisfied with the season.
All I'm saying, at the end of the season, I'm gonna say I was right. If they're above 8,
man, you get to claim that. You do get to claim that.
I think claim that.
Here's the thing: if you put them 8 to 12, you got a little wiggle room. So, but I think top of 8 to 12 is fair, though. I think that is fair. And even getting 8th, based on where you finished last season, you take those, bro. Like, we're talking about 7 to 8. That's not a big difference, and you honestly take those. So 5th to 6. Are we keeping?
Not trying to make it sound better. Shut the fuck up. Let's move on.
You're finishing 15th. Okay.
Man City.
How are you feeling? Definitely 2nd to 4th.
Yeah,
I think 4th.
Okay, throw them up there. We can talk about the order. So, first of all, 5th to 6th. We liking
5th to 6th. I actually would put Tottenham in 5th.
I agree. I honestly agree.
And I'm also not opposed to even moving them up and having City 5th.
Okay, we can debate that. I can see where you're coming from. I'm not mad at that, but okay, we'll talk about that. I think Newcastle to Spurs, though, I think that really depends. Does this Voltamata kid come and hit the ground running?
Yeah.
They might finish 5th. If it takes a little while, maybe Vissa. Even that's the thing with the Vissa, having Vissa there too, they really have the insurance. So, but yeah, I like Spurs 5th. Okay, let's throw Chelsea second to fourth. I think that's really the conversation, and then we could talk about the other two later. Chelsea, City, Spurs. Let's talk about them. Is there anyone you feel out of those three is like guaranteed second to fourth?
Chelsea, for sure.
I agree.
City is the one I'm iffy on because they've had a rocky start that no one is really talking about, and
it's a little spooky.
Some players have left. Some have also come in, but they've got the injuries as well. Cherky. It's like I don't know how Pep's tactics are gonna hold up this season, man.
I have City third, personally.
Third, okay. Well, I think we might end up averaging fourth because I think fourth, and Alexis seems like you're leaning fifth, and Eric's leaning third. I think City. Yeah, it's a rough start. I think honestly though, the quality in the squad, I would be surprised if they even last year when they won one game in 13 at a point in time, they still somehow end up scraping third, which speaks a lot to their quality. I think it really depends. It kind of all hinges. Does Rodri come back at the level? I think he's coming back. He's a little slow to come back. You know, even playing games now, he doesn't look 100%. He looks like maybe even like 80% Rodri, which is still a good player. But if Rodri can get back to Ballon d'Or levels, then I think that fills a lot of holes in City's team. The thing with City though, their defense is not moving me, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like that lineup, you're playing like Kushanov, Stones or Stones, Diaz, freaking Mateus Nunes is right back. Like I don't know. Like Vardio though still has to come back. That's a big one. I think if Vardio comes back, that's massive. If you have Vardio, Ruben Diaz, then you're talking a little bit more. That's a little more convincing. But that right back got to be sorted, man. Rico Lewis doesn't move me. Mateus Nunes doesn't move me. But fourth, I think is still they have enough quality. I think Holland alone could probably scrape you a fourth in this league. Foden,
that's a fair point.
Foden, you're on fraud watch, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were about to gas him. No,
hell no. I still think Foden robbed Cole Palmer of the PFA Player of the Year 2 years ago, bro. Like, and it's been proven to this day. Foden still hasn't shown anything near that level again, bro. That was the fluke season. Now it's looking like all these trash seasons. I shouldn't say all because he still won the Premier League 4 years in a row. But now this level is looking like his level. Like since the Euros, this dude's been a shadow of himself. He's been absolute cheeks. So I'm feeling like City fourth. I'm liking City fourth.
I will agree there then.
So then we can agree Chelsea third. Sorry. Yeah, Chelsea third. Sorry.
I think Chelsea second.
Interesting.
I don't think Arsenal is gonna have it this season.
I think they will have Arsenal too.
You think Arsenal will be
second?
Arsenal
at number two. Yeah, second.
I think they're gonna be in third. You agree with Eric? All right.
Well, mainly because I'm like Eric in the sense of put my expectations low. I don't have enough faith in Chelsea to put them second, which feels a little. Don't put Liverpool up yet. We gotta have a conversation to have. But I think Chelsea, exciting business, but also some iffy business. And I think Chelsea's the team that keeps buying these young players, hoping they hit. And some have hit. Like some have definitely hit. And some, they're on their way out. Which is what it is. And they keep buying a lot of project players. And I think the good thing is we have brought so much depth that like hopefully one of Garnacho or Gittins works. Hopefully one of Esteval, Pedro Neto has been good honestly for the last 6 months. The dude's actually been pretty solid. So I think the narrative around him is a little fake. Club World Cup, he's arguably our best player. But Palmer injured right now. Delap injured right now. João Pedro is the most exciting thing about this team. Caicedo, I think, still arguably the best defensive midfielder in the league, bar like a fully fit Rodri. Cucurella, arguably best left back in the league. Colwill out for the season though, which is a bit spooky. I don't know. I think if we had a fully fit squad, I could see the push for second. But right now, I'm a little cautious. I'm a little cautious that even City could come out of nowhere and still pass us up. But I think third is a good balance spot. If I'm being
All right.
pessimistic, you know. Well, let's hear what are you down on about Arsenal that makes you think a third is possible?
I think I'm down on just their squad this season and what I've seen, how I've seen them play in these games. Like the fact that their performances, at least in my eyes, they haven't proven to be like title contenders. And that's what you have to prove to even come close to the title, to come second. And the fact I'm not seeing what I would expect for that, especially with the likes of Gyökeres and just their offensive play. We've talked about it before. Just incredibly boring, set piece driven, like no real creativity. I think that stuff will be needed to be a champion, and I think Liverpool is well equipped in that regard in many areas to be able to get that. And I think Chelsea is also more equipped in some ways, albeit, less certainty for sure about how players will work out, but I see the potential more on the Chelsea side.
I agree. Potential wise, Chelsea the next few years, I think we're sneaky, like dark horse type team to really put a title challenge in the next couple of years. Maybe Liverpool have extended the gap so much, I don't know, but I agree in terms of potential. But I think for this season, Arsenal have more proven Premier League quality players. I'm very skeptical about these like Bundesliga dudes. Like Gittins coming in, I hope he's great, but like I've been burned by Timo Werner in the past, bro. Like these Bundesliga dudes that aren't always aren't always those guys, Even Kai Havertz for us, and that's funny because they both won us the Champions League, but still, that was really the N'Golo Kante show. But even Kai Havertz for us, obviously doing things at Arsenal now, but these Bundesliga dudes don't move me too much. The thing about Arsenal, and I guess we could talk, like you kind of hinted at it with Liverpool going first, is they have some question marks in terms of like Martin Odegaard. Bro, you're on fraud watch too, bro. I'm not gonna lie, you're on fraud watch too. The De Bruyne comparisons are done. We're not having those conversations anymore, bro. It's been a few years since you've really been at that level. I know last year he was injured for the beginning of the season, but even when he came back, maybe it's lingering effects of the injury. I don't know, but he's just not moving me. And now that they got Eze coming in, I think we could see a whole new Arsenal, especially if, and it's tough to say because I know he's their captain, but if Odegaard gets dropped for Eze, we could see Arsenal go from a team who's playing like 2 8s and a 6 to playing a 10 finally, like a proper creative midfielder in Eze. And I think if they bring in, if he actually gets like good solid minutes, I know he might start on the left or something, but if he gets good solid minutes in those areas, then that might unlock a Gyökeres, that might unlock a Saka to not have all the creative responsibility. The thing about Arsenal that even I think could push them to challenge Liverpool is that defense is ridiculous, and the depth. Like I think Saliba, Gabriel is the best center back pairing arguably in Europe right now. Like I think I'd be hard pressed to think of another one that's as good. People could say Van Dijk, Konate. I think Van Dijk's probably the best of all of them, but Konate, I ain't gonna lie, you're not moving me right now, bro. Bro's still dreaming about that move to Madrid. And then we're talking about Ben White, Urian Timber on one side. They have Lewis Skelly, Calafiori. They just brought in that Hincapié, I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but the dude from Bayer Leverkusen. There's just so much depth in that defense. And then even if you want Lewis Skelly moving into the midfield, and you have the midfield, you have Rice, Marino still, who's really a midfielder. We kind of forgot he was playing striker so much last season. With Marino in there, Zubamendi in there, Odegaard still. I know he's on fraud watch, but he's in there. Eze potentially in there. The Wanyeri kid was really a midfielder. He was just playing right wing last season. And then obviously they brought in the depth for Saka with Madueke. That Max Dowman kid, it looks exciting. Eze on the left, Martinelli on the left. I'm not saying all these players are top tier players, like Martinelli, Trossard, whatever. But and then still Gyökeres, Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is still putting 10 plus goals a season. Him coming behind Gyökeres, like And really, he's a midfielder too, if we really talk about it. I think the main issue with Arsenal last year was depth. And now I think they haven't increased their ceiling that much, like Gyökeres maybe, but the depth they've really addressed. So now if someone gets injured, I'm not like, if Odegaard, like how Odegaard got injured last year, I'm not thinking, oh my God, it's cooked. Like Eze comes in, I'm like, oh, they don't miss a beat. Now Saka gets injured, I think that's still massive. Madueke, I think the drop off from Saka to Madueke is more than people are talking about. As a Chelsea fan, I'm gonna tell you, Madueke, he ain't sniffing the Saka level, so let's not even talk about that. But the fact that they even have someone, they don't have to rely on an 18-year-old kid in Wanyeri. Even though Dowman probably still better than Madueke right now. But still, I think that depth is crazy. And maybe that'll mean more for the Champions League. I don't know, but I think Arsenal can push Liverpool for a title. But that being said, let's talk about it. Why is Liverpool? I think we all agree Liverpool is the favorites for the title, the championship. Any reasons why you think it's just maybe there's one massive one?
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Isak, Salah, Wirtz if he unlocks his potential, proves his Premier League prowess, Van Dijk. I mean, the list goes on in the roster they've assembled. And they've proven their capability to compete. You know, they've undergone a change of manager. That didn't change anything. They won the league. So, you know, I just think they're armed and dangerous, as Winter Soldier would say. Fair.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Winning the league and spending 500 million is just.
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention the cost. Yeah,
I know we're talking about net spend now. All of a sudden, when Liverpool are the big spenders, we're net spend merchants.
Who's talking about net spend, bro? I haven't seen this.
I'm telling you, Sky Sports. All of a sudden, for like the first time in like 5 years, they all of a sudden pull up the net spend charts when Liverpool is the top spender. I'm telling you, this is propaganda, bro. Liverpool are like the Premier League darling. Look, 4 days ago, like, bro. I'm telling you, this is just propaganda, bro. I'm telling you. When Chelsea are the big spenders, when United are the big spenders, when City are the big spenders, it's just they just talk about the flat numbers.
And they convert it to dollars in the US, like Bleacher Report and shit. Like, bro, you don't need to be doing that. Like,
unnecessary, bro. Unnecessary.
The agenda is crazy.
Now all of a sudden we're talking about net spend. So Liverpool, they're talking about it's not that good. Also, speaking
Small
of
club energy, man.
Chelsea made a profit. I ain't gonna lie, over the summer, which is crazy.
Can we also talk about Nicholas Jackson and the Bayern president being like, yeah, like there is a buyout clause if he plays like 60 games, but that will definitely not be happening.
Which it should.
Imagine the team you just transferred to says at the beginning of the season, criminal. We don't want him here. We don't want him.
Absolutely criminal. I feel bad for the guy because he's not that bad. Like, he's not bad in period. He's raw.
And they were dying for that transfer too. Bro, they were working hard. The brother was posting like, yeah.
Desperate. Yeah, that's spooky season. I'm sorry for, he might still have a career in like La Liga, back to La Liga, whatever, but I ain't gonna lie, bro, it's spooky for you. It's spooky. But Liverpool, like you said, for me their depth isn't as crazy as Arsenal, but their top end talent, like the people you mentioned, we're talking about arguably the best striker, the best right winger, the best center back, best keeper, arguably the best. I think Caicedo or Rodri, but some people argue Gravenberch in there for like defensive midfielder. People are not going to argue he has to prove it, but people are going to argue Wirtz for best creative midfielder. So we're talking about the best in nearly half the team in the league, which is crazy level. This is like peak City levels, where like City had like the best player in every position. This is what we're talking about. If they don't win the league, honestly, it's a failure. I'm not gonna lie to you. Y'all gotta win at least 2 trophies. We're talking about a domestic double at least, really treble,
quarterfinals, Champions League, at least
semi, minimum.
semi.
So
Sure.
you got to, because if we're talking about the best teams in Europe, only
Yeah.
I think PSG, Barca, Madrid. You still always got to talk about them, but really, these are the only teams that should be really giving you a run for your money. So if you get knocked out in the round of 16 again, or even the quarters, I'm not gonna lie. Unless you get a really unlucky draw, that's one thing. But I'm not gonna lie, it's looking spooky for y'all. Y'all just dropped after breaking the transfer record and buying Ekitike for almost 100 million, who is looking insane. You went and broke the transfer record again. Like, come on, bro. There's no excuses. You need to win. You need to win at least 2 trophies. So there it is. That's probably the difference maker for them winning the title. But it looks like it's going to be a fun race. I'm not going to lie. Because even if we're talking about performances, you talked about Arsenal, and the reason why they're looking like reason why you put them third is like the performances aren't convincing.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about Liverpool, their performances haven't been convincing, but here's the difference. If you look at the table like you just pulled up, they have 9 points. So it doesn't matter. They haven't been clicking, and they still get the results. That's a championship winning side. Because usually not every championship winning side is flying every day, winning 4 or 5-0. They've been conceding a lot of goals. But if you get the result in the end of the day, that's the difference between them and Arsenal. It's already a 3-point gap at the beginning of the season. That could extend immediately. So, because if they start clicking, they bring in Isak, and then all of a sudden they're flying. I'm not gonna lie, bro. It's looking spooky for the rest of the league. But if we go back to the table, is there any in those mid-table teams? Are there anyone you feel like the order you're not feeling, like 8 to 12, 13 to 17th? Any order?
Yeah, I feel like when we went through it, that's the order I would keep it as. Yeah, I feel kind of confident in that.
Same.
I'm not gonna lie. Maybe I have a soft spot for them. Brighton's a little low for me, but I also think it's reasonable. I think in those teams, it could really go.
It's a toss up. It's a toss up.
Yeah.
You know?
The only thing was Forest. It seemed like they had a lot of drama with their manager recently.
A lot.
So I don't know if that could end up having some ramifications later on if he ends up leaving. And I think also, go back to the current table, because I haven't really kept up with the results. Okay, they're 10th, 1-1-1. Okay, that's not too bad. But I think last year they caught people by surprise. I think it's hard to do that back-to-back years. So people might have kind of figured out, like, okay, they're a transition team. Let's just sit back on them. And they lost Alanga. Chris Wood's a year older. He started the season well. I'll give him that, but he's a year older. I don't know. Forest aren't as convincing to me in that spot. Yeah. I wouldn't mind sliding them back a bit. But I think those 3 teams, Forest, Bournemouth, Brighton, I think all those are kind of interchangeable.
I think I would be fine moving Brighton up ahead of Forest.
And then keeping Forest in that order.
And honestly, maybe having Forest go down behind Bournemouth.
I don't mind that. It really does depend on their manager situation, but I think Brighton and Bournemouth are more solid in their managers, and they both have good managers too. So, and then swap Everton and United for me.
Hell no! Gotta be a bit delusional.
Yeah, no, I respect it. But there we go. That is the official Rip the Net 2025-2026 Premier League prediction table with everything's in the books, transfers done. Now we see how it plays out. And at the end of the season, we're going to come back and we're going to do a little. I know every year the creators in the scene, they do a little, they rank their predictions based on, like, there's like a system they have, like, based on how many places you are out is points you get. So you want to have the lowest score possible. We're going to throw our hat in the ring, bro. At the end of the season, we're going to see how well we did. Exactly. Good little emote there. You've been playing a lot of Fortnite. So
crazy.
There we go. That's our official prediction.